Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, we can catch up sometime.
I'm Danny Warshay. I'm the executive director of the Jonathan M. Nelson Center for Entrepreneurship. And probably no surprise to many of you, I'm going to start with my signature opening, which is to involve all of you, and that's to ask you to raise your hand if this is your first Nelson Center event. Raise it high. Awesome. I love seeing that because so many of you are familiar to us, you're friends of the center, you participate, but still we always, no matter when I ask that question, see a steady flow of new faces, new participants from all across the Brown campus, Brown ecosystem, well beyond Brown, even into the local community. So welcome all of you tonight. I know you're all excited, I'm excited, our judges are excited, our team certainly are excited. I thought, especially for those of you who are new to us, I would take just a couple minutes to frame who we are as a center and where this venture night fits. We're in charge of everything related to entrepreneurship at Brown. That's a tall order. And even as we define entrepreneurship, it's a little bit different at Brown from how it is in many other places. We define it, I've been teaching entrepreneurship for 13 years here at Brown, and I've always defined it as a structured process for problem solving. And as a result, our approach stretches all across the whole Brown community and Brown ecosystem. We execute on that mission by three ways. One is we have a curricular focus. Everything we do has a very strong, rigorous academic underpinning. Naturally, we're at a university. And so we are teaching an unprecedented number of entrepreneurship courses. We have hired an unprecedented number of entrepreneurship faculty. We are funding academic research all across the university focused on different approaches to implementing entrepreneurship. So curricular is the first bucket. The second bucket, and many of you are familiar with this, is co-curricular. So we're doing lots of activities, workshops, speakers, events that bring in experts of all kinds, and they've spoken to many of you have been to those events. And then we always say that we're not only teaching people about entrepreneurship, we're empowering them to do it. And so the third bucket, aside from curricular and co-curricular, is venture support. So we provide increasing amounts of grant funding. Some of you have been recipients of those grants. We have a steady flow of Brown alumni and other functional experts who come to campus to mentor and to meet with our students in office hours. We run a summer accelerator called B-Lab. Jason Harry is the director of B-Lab. We've just figured out our cohort for this upcoming summer. And some of you have been generous mentors in that program. We make connections to resources beyond Brown, funding resources, for example. I see some representatives from a local funding source, Cherrystone. We're happy that you're with us tonight. And other kinds of generous resources so that our students don't simply fall off a cliff once they leave College Hill. And it's in that context, the venture support context, that tonight's exciting program fits. The Brown Venture Prize, the pitch night for tonight. And it was a brainchild, none of us. It was of one of my star alumni, two of my chair students from Brown from a few years ago, Luke, who's a judge with us tonight, and his Casper partner, Neil. We owe a big debt of gratitude to them for thinking about this, envisioning what it could be, participating in it, and also funding it for a number of years moving forward. So I really appreciate all of what you've contributed. Thank you for doing that. And I thought what I might do by way of just quickly introducing the judges. You have a lot of detail about them in your brochure, but I thought I might highlight a couple of additional things. One is, and I'll start with Luke, and that is Luke took my course as a sophomore, which was a little unusual, back in 2009. And I did a little research. I looked back at the application that Neil wrote to me as a freshman, as a first-year student, even to get in the class. And I was curious to read what he had written back then. And back then, I actually didn't need these to read it, but now I do. And one line struck me, and that was, Luke said, "I have always assumed that learning how to spot the value in an idea or a business is one of the greatest skills an entrepreneur can have. And so not only are you a successful entrepreneur yourself, but tonight you're going to be able to put that ambition to work by noting the entrepreneurial value in some of our 8 teams who are pitching tonight. I also think back to Jessica's participation in the precursor to this event in previous years, back in, I think we were remembering 1999? 98 even. And the personal connection there was, this was in the entrepreneurship program's venture pitch competition, and I was the judge who judged your business plan, and I was totally blown away by the quality of that plan, and that led you on your own entrepreneurial journey of starting Jessica's Wonders, which Kraft bought, as we know, a few years later. And we were reminiscing, Scott and I, at dinner about the fact that Scott was in the very first class that I ever taught at Brown back in 2006, and I remembered, I thought they were focus groups, but you corrected me, they were ketchup tasting parties, which launched your career in the condiment world, in which you eventually turned into Sir Kensington's, which Unilever bought recently, and we're really excited that you're back with us on campus. Brad, I remember the first time you and I met as well is when you were a medical school student embarking on your own entrepreneurial journey, which led to Shape Up, the launch of that with your partner Rajiv. And it happens that I met you at a Yom Kippur break fast at my in-laws' house. And not only that, but my in-laws are actually seated back there. So it's nice that we continue this connection. And Steph, I recall, I didn't have the pleasure of having you in class, but I saw you in your glory with speaking so eloquently and movingly about your role currently as the founder and head of Away, but also drawing connections between your experience on campus and what you learned as a Brown undergraduate and how that influenced you later in launching your company. And in fact, you were clear about indicating how much gratitude you had for one of your beloved professors who we share in common, and that is Barrett Hazeltine, who's with us tonight. And so I know we all share that, or like many of us do, and so I figured we ought to give Barrett Hazeltine a round of applause. And unfortunately, I mentioned Neil in the context of his generosity with Luke. He couldn't be here with us tonight, and nor could Heidi. Heidi had a prior obligation, but all of you judges have gone way beyond, I think, what your expectations were about how much work would be involved, beyond my own expectations, because when we launched this venture prize competition, I thought maybe we would get about 12 entries. My colleagues were a little bit more optimistic. I thought maybe 20. We got 47 teams to enter this competition, and that meant that all the judges had to read roughly 14 applications each. That was way more probably than you expected, and then we had a very spirited and roll-up-your-sleeves long afternoon in which we were deliberating, and that led to our 8 finalists tonight. So I hope that paints the context for where this fits. I appreciate all your being here tonight. Interspersed between the teams presenting, we'll be showing you a little bit about upcoming events. You should be on our email list if you signed up for tonight, but if for some reason you're not, the way to sign up is to go to entrepreneurship.brown.edu, and I look forward to seeing you at other events down the road. So without further ado, I'm going to call out the first team, Penta, and they're going to present, and then the judges will give roughly 2 minutes of feedback. Thank you all very much.
Hi everyone, my name is Trang. I grew up in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, with a grandmother who had a limb disability and witnessed firsthand how difficult it is to access prosthetic care. This is Victor, my co-founder. We started Penta, a social enterprise that repurposes medical devices for amputees in developing countries. In Vietnam, there are 4 million amputees, and 95% of them don't have any access to prosthetic care. The main barrier is cost, which ranges from $2,000 to $10,000. But what if we told you a solution to this global health challenge lies in people's storage bases and garages in the United States. In the US, there are around 400,000 prosthetic limbs that are replaced annually and cannot be reused here due to liability and regulation. We want to make sure that none of this goes to waste. With this idea of recycling medical equipment, we've already repurposed more than $1 million worth of prosthetic devices and helped more than 150 amputees walk again. This is son. After he was fitted with our prosthetic, he was able to go back to school and complete his education. We've partnered with the largest US prosthetic chain in the country, and this year we have a contract with the Vietnamese Minister of Health to provide 1,000 prosthetic limbs at a cost of $100,000. Here's a little bit about how we work. In the US, we partner with local and national clinic chains and have collection boxes at their sites. Then a third-party consolidation company comes and consolidates, collects these, and ships it to Vietnam. It then goes through a rigorous process of quality control. We're in the process of expanding our quality control facility to be able to facilitate the repurposing of thousands of prosthetics. After they go through this process, they're then distributed to our local partners, such as private clinics, public hospitals, and foundations. The clinics then handle the repurposing and the refitting for the patients.
Our partners pay $100 per device. $20 goes towards our transportation and quality control, which means that we have an 80% margin. This helps us achieve a self-sustaining model. We aim to scale quickly over the next couple of years. We'll be in 100 US clinic locations by the end of 2018, 400 by the end of 2019, and 800 by 2020. We estimate that each clinic will provide 30 prosthetics every year, which means that in 3 years, we will have helped 40,000 amputees access high-quality, low-cost prosthetic care. We're looking to raise $150,000 to cover our logistics cost for this year and to build a new quality control facility in Vietnam. We've already raised $130,000 from institutions such as the Clinton Foundation, and the $25,000 from the Brown Venture Prize will get us across the line and help us become a self-sustaining operation. On our team, Trang and I handle business and operations. Alex, a Harvard MD candidate who's designed prosthetics at the MIT Media Lab, oversees our technical aspects. Over the next couple of years, our team will focus on recycling prosthetics and capturing the market. Our long-term vision is to become the platform to recycle all types of medical devices. We've interpreted the idea of the sharing economy through the lens of social impact. There's a tremendous amount of medical devices that can be reused in the developed world, and a great need for affordable healthcare in developing countries. The service we provide has the potential to address this global health inequality and impact millions of lives. With your help, we hope to make this vision come true.
So now we're going to ask the judges to make a few comments.
Yeah, I mean, so this is Brad. I see a lot of healthcare deals, and this is probably one of the most amazing companies that I've seen. You know, I think your explanation of what you do, I think you know, getting a little bit more clarity on where the money's coming from. I mean, you did awesome on unit economics. It seems like it's a viable business model. I can't tell if it's nonprofit or for-profit, but just a little bit more about the money, like where it's, who's actually paying that? Is it the patient or is it one of the partners, the clinics? Would give a little bit more clarity, but it's one of the best pitches that I've heard, especially for like what you guys are doing and coming out of a university. I'm amazed. Really good.
Yeah, so the money that we're, do you want us to
Just
answer?
a real quick,
Okay.
a real quick response, because we only have a
Okay,
couple
yeah,
minutes.
for sure. So so
Make sure to move the mic up to.
the cost is
There you go.
the cost is covered by our partners in Vietnam or in Southeast Asia. So we work with a range of different organizations. It could be local nonprofits, governments, or private clinics. And so the patients pay different amounts depending on which partners they're part of. So for local nonprofits that we just signed on, patients are getting it for free. And so those nonprofits are getting their revenue from somewhere else, paying us, and we're a 501c3 in the US. Yeah.
I would love to echo that praise. I think this was incredibly well presented and considered, and thank you for doing this work. Something I would be concerned about as a donor, partner, or participant in your organization is liability. And I don't see a lot of healthcare deals, but working in food, one of the things that limits food's donations is liability once it passes through the donor's hands, especially in your long-term vision in medical devices. Something that if you've given some thought to or should give some thought to is how to make sure that you limit liability for donoring organizations and yourself to protect yourself.
Yeah, so for initially when we started this, we had contract systems with patients actually. So we had a contract system signed by our partners locally and the patients in Vietnam, talking about the liability and recognizing that this is a used equipment. And now that we're working with the Ministry of Health, which is a state organization in Vietnam, we signed a contract with them recognizing that this is a used equipment and that the liabilities are on the contract. Yeah, so that's how we deal with it.
I'm going to ask us to transition. Let's give another hand for Penta. I'm going to ask Reliabra.
I was on a date with a guy I really like, and he took me dancing. So I wore this fun backless dress with a sticky bra. A sticky bra is a backless and strapless bra that sticks directly to a woman's breasts. My favorite song came on, and my hands went up, and my sticky bra went down. Not only was I humiliated, I was frustrated. It was only my second time ever wearing this sticky bra, and it had already lost its stick. I was not ready to go out and spend another $50 on a sticky bra that would only last a few wears. In this day and age of women's fashion and women's empowerment, halter, backless, and strapless tops and dresses are all very popular, and an essential undergarment for them is a sticky bra. This problem is not unique to me. My co-founder, Roja Garamella, and I have spoken to over 100 women over the past 6 months who all struggle with the same issue. This semester, as an independent study course, I'm conducting in-depth interviews with sticky bra users to hear about their experiences, and so far, in about 40 of my interviews, all of these women agree that these sticky bras just don't work. This is a market that we are familiar with. We are targeting women ages 15 to 55 with extra spending money and bra cup sizes A through D. There are over 50 million women in this market. The biggest issues with current sticky bras is, 1, the difficulty in cleaning and care. You can't just take this sticky bra off and throw it in the washing machine or the dryer. This allows for bacteria to grow on the inside of the cups and hair and dust to constantly collect. Second of all, they're expensive. They cost on average $45, and it's not worth the investment when you could only wear them a couple of times. And 3, they don't even offer replaceable adhesives. On the New Bra website, the leading brand of sticky bras, the number one question is, do you offer replaceable adhesives? To which the answer is no. Clearly, the customers are asking for this. However, unfortunately, these market leaders are unlikely to change anything. In fact, they have more to gain from these customers just coming back and buying an entire new sticky bra every time they need one. This problem can be addressed by introducing a new product. This is why we thought of, prototyped, and provisionally patented the Reliabra, a sticky bra with removable and replaceable adhesives. This bra is ergonomic, convenient, and affordable. With a layer of mesh foam in between comfortable silicone, this sticky bra is far more breathable than the other sticky bras in the market. Our adhesive pads are also safe, hypoallergenic, and comfortable.
Okay.
You're also able to wash our sticky bra. It's easy. After you wear your sticky bra, you could dispose of your sticky pad, put it in the washing machine, because we're going to sell it in a lingerie bag. And when you're ready to wear it again, you place in brand new adhesives, and you're ready for a fun night out without the fear of your sticky bra falling off mid-dance floor. Our bra is also affordable. With our competitive pricing of $35 for the bra shell and $10 for a pack of 3 adhesives, our sticky bra user is able to save $200 over the bra's lifetime. We're utilizing a proven business model. Similar to the printer ink, razor blade business model, this allows for the Rely Bra company to have customer retention and recurring revenue. We are living in an era of women's empowerment, and girl power is a core of our brand. We are working with the Social Enterprise Greenhouse to incorporate this women's empowerment into our social mission, empowering women's confidence, health, and expression of personality through apparel. We will also give a percentage of our proceeds away to a women's charity at the end of each year. We are a team of 2 women who care about women. Unfortunately, my co-founder, Rosie Garamella, is unable to be here today. She's a first-year student at the Alfred Medical School, and unfortunately, they planned their spring break for this week. However, the 2 of us have tons of experience in marketing and business, and with our internships in private equity, consulting, and retail, and we also have a very experienced team of advisors. However, this is a problem that Roja and I have lived. When I wore our first prototype of the Rely Bra to campus dance last spring, I knew that Rely Bra was a bra that I could stick with.
Thank you, Rosie. I totally get you. I was going to wear my sticky bra today, but it did not stick, so. I loved your presentation.
Thank you.
You know, you laid out the problem really well. I get it. The one thing I would love to see more is the assumptions around how often would I replace it, almost like the lifetime value of a customer, because I think that could be really powerful if you're like, and we've seen that people would purchase like 10 of these every year, and then you start seeing kind of like the Gillette model of the razors and the replacement.
Definitely.
So that would be really powerful as a business.
Definitely, thank you.
I totally echo that. That was amazing. I would for sure be a customer, so I hope you end up making this because that would solve a lot of problems. I thought your presentation was really great. You covered a ton. In addition to some of like the lifetime value and repeat purchase rate assumptions that you're thinking, I think another thing that would even further strengthen an already very strong presentation would be some information around what it costs to make the product and what margins are looking like, because that really can help set you up for understanding how much you can spend on marketing and other business expenses,
Definitely.
particularly as you're thinking about what the lifetime value of each customer is. But all around great presentation, and you for sure need to make this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Maybe that's a good place to end. Thank you very much, Rosie.
Thank you.
And we'll ask the Heliotrope Energy folks to come out next.
Hi everyone, I'm Eddie Williams, and we are Heliotrope Energy. We're a group of Brown University roboticists and AI researchers taking our technology developed in the lab and using it to enhance the performance of renewable energy systems. We're starting with solar because it's the fastest growing source of renewable energy in the world. And 79% of new utility scale solar farms in the US and a growing fraction around the world use tracker technology, which, over the course of a day, depending on the time of day, moves panels across the sky to point them at the sun to increase their energy collection. However, doing this, naively pointing them at the sun, causes 3 main sources of energy loss on these huge utility scale farms. 1, cloud cover, either wasting energy during cloud cover or not taking advantage of scattered light. 2, pointing panels at the sun for too long, leading to energy loss as cells overheat and lower their efficiency. And 3, panels shading each other, actually blocking their neighboring panels from receiving sunlight and lowering the efficiency of the whole farm during the day. The financial and environmental costs of this phenomena for individual plants, to say nothing of the rapidly growing industry, are immense, with, for an individual utility scale plant, the 5 to 10% energy decrease caused by the combination of these environmental factors can lead to $20 to $40 million lost over the 30-year lifetime to the plant owner, and hundreds of thousands of additional tons of carbon dioxide emitted because that energy had to be made up from dirty base load coal and natural gas energy sources. Current technologies deal with the problem can only handle one environmental factor at a time, adapting to, say, either a cloud cover or panel shading, and they're built into panel hardware, meaning over the course of the long lifetime of these plants, you can be stuck with the best technology of 20 years ago. We saw an opportunity to take our research in artificial intelligence and develop a system that learns to incorporate all of the environmental factors that can affect a solar plant, from sensors mounted on and near panels, and determine which combinations and interrelationships between all the environmental factors affecting a solar plant will affect its chances of receiving energy over time, and then learn to take action specific to individual solar power plants, times of day, even panels in the plant, to maximize its long-term energy projections. And it's continuously learning and improving to maximize energy increasingly over time. We saw a chance to use our technology to enter the growing solar management software market worth over $13 billion by 2020, with a 15% annual growth rate in the previous 5 years. We want to offer solar optimization as a service, where we'll install our software on existing control and monitoring systems installed on these solar panels, which will then transmit back array monitoring data to our cloud-based AI system, which will then return controls and analytics to help plant operators and owners of operations and management firms maximize their long-term energy revenue and increase the amount of solar energy sold back to the utility grid. We want to provide a scalable service for an accelerating solar market. We see charging only $1,500 per megawatt per year. We can see a $500 million market opportunity by 2021, and as the pace of solar installs increases to meet state and national renewable energy install targets, we want to grow as the solar energy grows to meet more of the world's energy needs in the future. Currently, we built a prototype and are testing early versions of our algorithms on the roof of the Brown Computer Science building, now battle tested by the recent nor'easter. Thank goodness, we were worried about that one. And our team consists of AI, robotics, and engineering students and researchers from Brown, who have experience both in developing AI in the lab, in industry, and in the case of my co-founder, Stephen, developing robotics and automation for the renewable energy industry. We're going to take all that we've learned and all that we've developed in the lab and use it to enhance the production of renewable energy around the globe. With the venture prize, we plan to construct a larger test bed. Sadly, it won't fit on the roof of the Brown CIT, accelerate our development of our AI algorithms, and invest in partnerships that we've already started reaching out and making with solar installers and operators around the country, and participate in the Brown B-Lab program. And after the program's been completed, enter the Northeastern Clean Technology community by moving to the Greentown Labs incubator in Somerville, Massachusetts. Our vision is a world powered entirely by clean, renewable energy, kept running at peak efficiency at all times by artificial intelligence. Thank you, and I'll take any questions.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
It's a very clean, beautiful idea. Who do you guys see yourselves in the first couple of years really primarily selling to, and how do you actually plan to do that?
Yeah. So right now we're so we actually thought a few months ago that we would be a tracker technology vendor, sort of supplying technology to tracker manufacturer companies like Nextracker or Array Technologies, which will then integrate their products into their system. But we realized recently that there's a bigger opportunity in selling software services to the firms that are actually owning it, either plant owners or sometimes contracted operators who are actually running the computer systems on site every day, managing these plants. So sort of shifted in the direction between a technology vendor to actual software service for these solar plant managers is kind of who we see our customers being able to, and we've already started developing partnerships and developing early outreach to these companies to sort of understand what they want in a service like this, both in terms of tracker optimization and plant management overall, and understand and get a better sense of the market that we're going after. Yeah.
In the healthcare space, we have an issue where large companies that own machines, like MRI machines, CT machines, don't want to have third-party software come in and layer in intelligence. They block you out. I feel there might be a similar situation here with the tracker companies. And so that's the one thing where I don't know how you guys address that. You don't have to address that here at that conversation, but I think that's something you're going to get from folks. It sounds like you're trying to figure out ways. In healthcare, a lot of the most successful folks actually have to build like the fundamental technology, like the tracker systems. So I don't know if you guys end up selling trackers or not. You guys need to figure out where you're going to go, but that would be my biggest issue, is like how you enter in the market, who actually buys it, what's your best approach to actually getting the business?
Yeah, so great question, actually. That's a good point, and that was one of our large concerns starting out with this, but it turns out there's a large third-party solar farm management software market, not large yet, because only a small fraction of them. I mean, most people use spreadsheets to manage these sort of things, but there's a growing third-party plant management software market, which do interface with hardware technology they didn't develop themselves. So like companies like this, there's a couple of companies in the US and in Europe that are starting to provide third-party, mostly just coordination between control systems and monitoring systems, very basic analytics. No one's really doing large-scale optimization, but the fundamental technological interface and business willingness to do so is sort of already being established. Yeah.
We're going to end right there. Thank you very much. Excellent job. Thank you guys. Ask the subway team to come out.
Hi everyone, my name is Samani and I'm one of the co-founders of Subly, a web-based subletting marketplace for landlords, tenants, and subletters to easily list, find, and pay for sublets. Last summer, I got an internship in New York, but I needed a place to stay. So I asked a group of my friends, how do you find a sublet in New York? The first thing they told me was join all the Facebook groups. So I proceeded to join about 15 different Facebook groups and dealt with close to 100 notifications every single day. The next thing they told me was just look through all the posts. So I had about 80,000 listings to go through and see if it met my exact search criteria for location, price, proximity to public transport, and also make sure it wasn't a scam. One of my friends just told me, try posting something. The first time I did that, I got messaged by 30 total strangers and I had no idea how to sort through it. The next time I tried it, I heard nothing back 3 separate times. Finally, I thought I'd try Craigslist. Well, I was nearly scammed on Craigslist, and my co-founder actually was scammed. Finding a sublet is a bit of a pain in the butt. It's a high-risk situation because there's the potential of Craigslist scams, and you don't know who you're dealing with or the location you're dealing with. The existing process is a big headache. There's no one place where you can list, search, negotiate a subletting contract, and pay in one place. And finally, other platforms just weren't built for subletting. Airbnb, for example, positions itself as a travel lifestyle brand, which is great for the 2 to 7 day stay and living like a local, but it's not designed for subletting. You can't negotiate a subletting contract on the platform, and often the landlord doesn't know about the arrangement, which can lead to legal issues down the line. That's why my friends and I decided to create Subly. It's a subletting marketplace that's for landlords, tenants, and subletters, so the landlord is not confused when they walk into their apartment and see a subletter that their tenant did not tell them about. It was designed with subletting in mind. That means in one place you can list, find, negotiate your subletting contract, and pay with various flexible payment options. And finally, we don't want you to be scammed. So we put security and transparency first. That means we verify all the users and listings, and we don't release the subletter's payment until they tell us that the apartment is exactly what they expected, and we make sure all the stakeholders know what's going on. If you're a landlord or tenant that we've pre-screened and verified, you can come to our platform and list your place. Then you can filter through potential subletting applications, and when there's an application you like, through a collaborative negotiation process on our platform, you can negotiate your subletting contract, such as your monthly rent, utilities, security deposit, whether you allow pets or guests, and once everyone has agreed to the terms of the sublet, you can sit back and relax, and Sublet will collect your monthly payments for you. If you're a subletter, you can come to our platform and find a sublet that meets your search criteria, such as location, price, proximity to work, whether it's pet friendly. Once there's a sublet that catches your eye, you can submit a subletting application. And then through the negotiation process, once you agree to all the terms, you can move in and Sublet will collect your payments for you. Currently, there's great solutions for short-term leases and long-term leases. There's nothing quite there for the 1 to 4 month stay. That's where we see Sublet coming in. By our estimates, there's about 10 million subletters looking for sublets at any one time in the US across students, freelancers, and telecommuters. By acquiring 1 million bookings on our platform at an average of $1,000 for a 3-month stay and taking a 4% revenue per transaction, we project to make about $120 million a year in revenue. As you can see by the fact there are 5 computer scientists here, we're really struggling for engineering talent. But in all seriousness, we're a great group of friends who've worked together before, and we have diverse talents across engineering, business, and design. If anyone can do it, it's us. Beginning of April, we plan to launch our MVP and onboard landlords, tenants, and subletters through one-on-one conversations, word-of-mouth referrals, targeted Facebook advertising, mailing college listservs, posting around campus, tapping into existing Facebook groups, and also corporate partnerships such as working with landlords that have multiple listings or companies that are trying to find sublets for their interns. In the beginning of May, we plan to launch V2, where groups can search on the platform together and split their payments. We would love advisors with experience building marketplaces, particularly in the real estate space. We would also love mentors with digital marketing experience, particularly on Facebook. And finally, to fund our customer acquisition efforts, we would require capital, and that's where the BVP price would come in. Ultimately, we envision a future where leases do not limit anyone, and anyone can live anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Samani. I thought you all did such a beautiful job presenting this very logical and brilliant idea with a very clear need that you identified from personal experience. I thought that the logic that you put forth about the market sizing was very well considered and can be revisited intelligently. I thought it was brilliant to talk about what you needed in your advisors. So a lot of strengths in this presentation. With such a liquid market, so much demand, so much supply, and the internet and social being around now for more than a decade, why have the people that have tried this before you failed?
Want to take it?
So there have been a lot of people that not really that many people actually. Let me restart. Not really that many people have tried it, and most people that have tried it have either had an existing model, such as Airbnb, which really isn't that well done for subletting because they have a one-to-one relationship where there's a lot of people involved. Currently, there's another company named Flip that's doing something similar to us, but they're introducing the landlord right at the end, just kind of as a gotcha landlord, here's the existing plan, go out and do it. We think that it's very important that everybody's involved the whole time and knows what's going on, even if the landlord just kind of is just there in a supervisory position.
If you guys had to choose kind of a hook, knowing that this is a place where you're basically up against Craigslist and Facebook, and you kind of have to be a hook to start it up. What do you think is the most standout singular thing that makes you, makes the switching costs to you worthwhile?
So above all, I would say that the collaborative aspect of our platform is the hook. You don't need to worry that the landlord is not involved in your Airbnb or your Facebook or Craigslist listing. We ensure that everyone's involved and it's fully legal.
Yeah.
We're going to have to stop there, but thank you very much. Really nice job. And we'll have our next team, Ividere, come out.
Thank you, sir. Thanks. Hi, everyone. My name's Morgan, and I'm here to tell you about Ividere, a wearable device that assists blind people with everyday tasks. Blind people today face unemployment at rates far higher than the general population. They're at higher risk for physical accidents and major depression, and they experience lower quality of life overall. Vision rehab therapists have told us that a big part of this picture is constant everyday inconvenience that accumulates to cause functional disability. To illustrate what I mean, I'd like you all to close your eyes for a moment, and I'll share some anecdotes from people we've talked to who are blind themselves. Imagine you're getting ready for work in the morning, running a bit late, and you're almost out the door when you suddenly drop your cell phone and you hear it slide away from you on the kitchen floor. You have no option but to get down on your hands and your knees and feel around for the phone until you find it. When you finally make it out the door, you're in such a rush by this point that you forget all about the low-hanging branch in your driveway, and it's too high for your cane to detect, so you run into it face first. You can open your eyes now. Ividere combines recent advances in GPU-based machine learning and computer vision with advanced sensors like a wide-angle RGB camera and a 3D depth camera to identify important features in the user's surroundings, like obstacles in their path or objects they might want to find. The user is informed about these features using intuitive sound cues delivered through bone conduction headphones, which provide excellent sound quality while not plugging the user's ears so they can hear normally. What I just showed you is already a working prototype. The user need only say locate cell phone for the system to automatically identify the phone using a convolutional neural network, track their hand using a 3D depth camera, and issue an intuitive sound cue that guides their hand right to their target. Thanks to our depth segmentation system and a technique called 3D sound, the user will actually be able to hear obstacles in their path before they reach them. Eventually, this will be comparable to having a guide dog, but at less than 1/50th of the price of training a service animal. We also have a system for identifying and naming colors, useful for sorting laundry and picking out matching outfits. My teammates, Peter and Raghu, are applying their skills in computer science to develop a highly modular software architecture for our system so that we can readily add new functions as we discover new use cases that are important to our users. I study neuroscience, and I'm applying my understanding of visual and auditory perception to design effective and efficient sound cues for our system. For example, on the bottom right, you can see that a user is able to rapidly and repeatedly grasp a target object using sound cues alone. At the top, you can see some of our apparatus for quantifying this. There's a range of devices available for blind people today, but they tend to fall at one of two extremes. For example, at one end of the spectrum, you have the Colorino and devices like that with specific functions like identifying colors. That's what the Colorino does. At the other end of the spectrum, you have medical devices, brain implants that actually attempt to reproduce vision, but it's really a very low-resolution kind of tunnel vision. It requires extensive training and rehabilitation to use effectively, and it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. An example of an intermediate device is an Orcam MyEye. It can identify products and read text that's held directly in front of the camera, but it has no way of telling the user about where objects are in the environment, and it makes no attempt to assist with mobility or navigation. What's missing in this market is an affordable, multifunctional, one-device solution that can provide a functional replacement for vision in a variety of circumstances, and that is exactly what Ividere will provide. Because our technology is based on cutting-edge Brown research on user interface design and computer vision, our device will only become more multifunctional and easier to use over time. There's a potential market of over 1 million people who are legally blind in the US, and this number will rise with the aging population. Only 1% are born blind. The other 99% lose vision later in life, which means they're more likely to need assistance. Our technology can also help recoup some of the $48 billion lost in the US every year in productivity due to unemployment of people with visual impairment. We would use the funding from the Brown Venture Prize to refine our prototype, develop additional features like face recognition of individual people and text reading, and commence user testing and iteration at the Providence Veterans Administration Center before the end of the year. Administrators and doctors at the VA have already expressed interest in being our research partners and also being early customers. The VA has a track record of purchasing assistive technology for veterans who return from combat with visual impairment and other disabilities. We're already in the process of securing IP, and our financing strategy will be based on research grants in the short term and manufacturing and selling the device in the long term to get it out to as many users as possible. We're tremendously excited about bringing our technology out of the lab and empowering users to pursue independence, employment, and the access to society they all deserve. Thank you. Come on. This is Raghu, and this is Peter.
Thank you so much. That was very impressive. And it's funny because I started writing down these questions and then you would answer them.
Okay.
So I would think of, okay, well, what are the alternatives? Who are we serving? And you would answer them. And I love the fact that you said it's 1/50th of the cost of alternative of having of training an animal. And then I asked myself, like, okay, how long will this research take you to get to this point? Like, how much, like, what's the runway of, what will this funding get you to? And is this like a 5-year, 10-year process? Or is it realistic to get something to the market within a time frame? And you kind of answered that by saying, like, this first phase will be in the year. But that's my biggest question, because you answered all the other ones. I thought it was very impressive and well thought out. You guys did a great job. But it's more of like, wow, this is needed. How long will it take? And what would you need in the long run?
Yeah, so I think user testing and iteration is kind of the first step, but at that point we'll really find out how much functionality is needed before it's really worth carrying the device around, keeping the battery charged, all of that. We've heard that that's a problem with some existing devices. So it's a little hard to know how much additional features we'll need to add to get to that point, but I anticipate that it'll be within about 2 years we'll have something ready to really manufacture and sell beyond kind of a beta level device.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly impressive. It seems like this is something that could be really impactful to the people that need it. Just better understanding of the milestones probably over 5 years and the key hurdles that you would need to accomplish to get through those, to get to a point where I think it's probably reimbursed.
Yeah.
Is what
That's key.
what I'd want to understand better.
Yeah.
But really impressive, really great presentation and solid team. So
thank you.
Great job. Thank you. And next up is Cloud Agronomics.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Jack Roswell, and these are my co-founders Julian Valisen and Alexei Zook. We are Cloud Agronomics. We are automating disease identification in orchards. We fly over farmers' lands with our custom spectral suite of spectral sensors in order to increase productivity and protect crop yield, saving farmers millions in income. Meet Alfonso, an example of our prototypical customer who has farmed and operated his family citrus business in Argentina for generations. His entire family income depends on the orchard. As you can see, this is an aerial view of his farm. It appears to be thriving, but what you can't see is the deadly onset of citrus greening in a few of the trees. Now, you can't see it, but the biggest problem is that he can't either until it's too late. This is the unfortunate reality of citrus production around the world. Alfonso had an opportunity to save his citrus farm by going out and sampling a few leaves and sending it to a DNA lab for processing, but it would have cost him more than his entire harvest. This is a global problem that's not isolated to Alfonso's farm. You see, internationally, Brazil is the only country who has been able to maintain its level of citrus production by wiping out acreage of the Amazon rainforest and replanting orange trees. Looking to the numbers, 12% of the global citrus market, or $9 billion, is lost every year due to diseases affecting citrus crops. These are manageable and identifiable with our technology. And even though we can't see it, our technology can. We provide farmers inexpensive, actionable data regarding the projected progression of disease, in addition to the exact location of a disease on a farm, allowing, in an unparalleled manner, farmers to surgically remove only those trees that have been infected with a disease, leaving the rest of the orchard intact and profitable. So now let's talk about the technology that enables us to do this. We are customizing hyperspectral sensors with proprietary optical components, and we are generating advanced algorithms. We have three main differentiating factors, the first of which is cost. No one is doing this because the technology is sitting in laboratories like at Brown University and costs upwards of $100,000. We are miniaturizing it and producing it for 10% of the cost. Secondly, we are the first organization generating a data set of the spectral signatures of these diseases in order to identify them from the sky. And third, our algorithms have a predicted 96% accuracy based on recent revolutions in CNNs, or convolutional neural networks. Now, Julian's going to talk to you a little bit about the scalability of cloud agronomics.
In the short term, we fly over orchards and give farmers actionable data. Over the past few weeks, we've spoken to professors at the University of Florida and are heading down to sample their crops to not only improve the accuracy of our algorithm, but also to build our data set. In the long term, we directly lease our sensors and process all of our data in the cloud. What this means is that our sensors can be mounted to any existing drone worldwide. This allows us to leverage the global drone infrastructure and quickly scale our venture. Now, if a farmer like Alfonso wanted to send his crops for DNA testing, he would not only have to bear a high cost, but he would also have to face a 2-week turnaround time. If there was a disease on his land, he would have no idea how many trees it had spread to. And if he got back negative results, he would have to destroy a significant portion of his orchard, costing him money and a 6-year regrowth time. Cloud agronomics automates this process, providing more than twice the data at 20% the cost. We return our results back to our customers in less than a day. So if there are any issues, rather than destroying land, a farmer need only remove a single tree. Now, when we look at the overall market here, there are really 2 key numbers I want you to take away. 570 million farms worldwide spend $71 billion annually on crop protection. This can come through satellite monitoring, herbicides, or pesticides, but they really just aren't getting the job done. Farmers still wake up having to destroy a portion of their lands. Cloud agronomics is in the business of crop protection. The time to act really is now. Over the past few years, the United States has lost over 30% of its orange acreage. Crops that were once healthy have now soured and become unmarketable due to citrus greening. Alex, one of our founders, founded Stable Technologies and raised over $100,000 for his camera stabilization venture. Jack worked for 2 summers with the Peruvian Ministry of Culture and serves as a United Nations campus ambassador. And last summer, I interned at the World Resources Institute, exploring remote sensing techniques. The Brown Venture Prize truly enables us to miniaturize our technology and service orchards in California this summer. Thank you so much for your time. We're now open for questions.
So, the one thing that I didn't get is how often they're going to need to do this. Will they have their own drones to do it? If it's really turnkey, like a little bit of the process-oriented part of it's unclear. You don't have to really answer it, but that part, just getting an understanding of this is really going to be easy for the farmers to do, or why it is or what they're going to need to do was a little bit of a loss for me. But
Jonathan. So in the short term, we're actually, like we talked about over the summer, we're going to be servicing the farms in California ourselves. So we're going to be using drones and servicing multiple farms. But in the long term, we're actually going to be leasing our sensors to existing agricultural monitoring companies. So the only things the farmers have to do is look at the data that we give them and decide what to do based on that data.
I thought this was really impressive.
Thank you.
Just great job thinking about such a big problem and something that could use data to really solve it. One question, and I thought the numbers you provided were actually helpful about market sizing and some of those top level numbers. You don't need to answer now, or you can if you want to, but one thing I would wonder is sort of like a next step on those numbers is like just ballparks of like, I don't know, in the first 5 years, like here's ballpark, like the number of farms that we think would be a candidate for this. Like it's probably not 100% of them, so around how many, and then in terms of like annually what they would pay, or with whatever frequency they do something like that, what they would pay for that data, just to sort of get a sense of, in a time horizon, like what is the revenue opportunity of this business.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's a good place to stop. Thank you very much, guys. Next up is TextUp.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle, and I co-lead TextUp. We build software for social workers. We've been working on TextUp since 2015, and we're an operating business with more than 80 daily active users throughout Rhode Island. Social workers can be found helping people who are homeless find housing, or supporting domestic violence victims as they build a new life, or helping recent immigrants navigate their new country. The work that they do is critical. But research has shown that annual turnover in the social work sector can be up to 51% per year. Why? Because the agencies that hire them are underfunded, operating with less than $600,000 a year on average. And they're simply overworked. A typical social worker can be working with up to 60 clients at a time, working 60 hours per week. And they have to document every single client interaction for reporting, sometimes in up to 10-minute interval detail. And that's not even mentioning the emotional exhaustion of the job. We have robust information on these pain points because we have interviewed and shadowed more than 200 social workers over the course of 2 years. And in response to all of that research, we built TextUp, the software that saves time and money, improves professional quality of life, and builds capacity within social work. And when I say social work, I don't mean just full-time social workers. TextUp is currently being used by job training programs, universities, homeless shelters, and other organizations that support clients long-term. The goal of TextUp is to increase ease and efficiency at every step of client engagement. We provide privacy-protected calling and texting with clients, even if the client has multiple phone numbers, has a vision or hearing impairment, or speaks a different language. And for follow-up, our users can access TextUp from any internet-enabled device to schedule appointment reminders, collaborate with other staff members, send mass messages, and so much more. And we automatically generate a record of client communication. This can be added to by staff with internal notes, document scans, images, and GPS locations. It can then be exported or translated into impact metrics for instantaneous reporting. And any client record can be transferred within or between agencies, creating a system in which no client history is lost and there is no interruption in client care. The bottom line is TextUp is important because it creates the capacity of a work phone at a quarter of the cost. We also ensure legal compliance to HIPAA standards. Communicating with clients via a personal phone number or an app like Google Voice is in violation of federal privacy protections. We also generate hours of time savings with automated record keeping. And because our users can collaborate on and transfer client records, we ensure clients are receiving coordinated and continuous care. But you don't have to believe me. Believe our users. Megan says TextUp has revolutionized the way she communicates with clients. And Corinne contracted TextUp for Thundermist because she wishes she had TextUp when she was a social worker. And yes, there are other software platforms out there. There are free tools like Google Voice, but they're piecemeal solutions that don't meet privacy protection standards. At the other end of the spectrum, there are custom-built software companies like Salesforce, but they have six-figure fees per year, which are way out of budget for social work agencies. TextUp combines the strengths of our competitors by providing one cohesive platform intimately tailored to the entire workflow of social work at just $20 per account per month. This price point gives us a $480 million per year market potential. But even this is a vast underestimation because it only accounts for full-time social workers. Right now, we have 5 paid contracts with more than 80 daily active users. And our users are so impressed that from word of mouth in the last 2 weeks alone, we have garnered 4 new potential contracts. And if those contract negotiations proceed as planned, we'll be more than doubling our users in the next month. And in the last 6 months, we've seen less than a 10% churn rate. And our users are avid. They use TextUp for every part of their work, generating more than 5,000 texts and more than 1,000 calls each month, numbers that are increasing the longer they use TextUp. Our success thus far is thanks to our incredible team. We've been working together since 2015. Our designer, Hannah, is a design lead at IBM, and our developer, Eric, is a software engineer at GoInvo. And we wouldn't be where we are today without our technical client council, the group of social workers that has been with us from the beginning, co-creating every new feature with us. Upon my graduation from Brown in May, Eric and I will begin full-time work on TextUp while Hannah continues work part-time. Funding from the Brown Venture Prize would support our launch as a full-time company. So with that, I thank you, and I cross my fingers.
I mean, that churn rate's incredible.
Thank you.
Is that on daily active usership churn rate?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. That was just
Yeah.
an amazing.
Thank you. That's one of the things that we're most proud of.
Okay, so great presentation. One question and then one piece of feedback.
Yeah.
Is Eric going to go full-time and
Yes, Eric is quitting his job.
quitting his job and putting med school on hold?
Yes, also putting med school on hold. Yes.
Impressive. So it's a real need. We invested in a company called Healthify in this space. It's raised $10 million. Very successful, doing really well. I don't know how much overlap there is with you guys, but it's.
I can speak to that if you'd like.
Yeah, maybe you know better than I.
Yeah.
But a really need in this. There's a really big need in the for social determinants and tools that can help social workers do their job better and more effectively from a health plan perspective. So you can talk about the Healthify overlap if you want.
Yeah, thank you. There are two platforms, Healthify and CareThread. They are primarily in the social work setting within medical agencies and for health plans. So they are primarily for internal staff communication and coordination between hospitals and social workers, rather than communication between social workers and client. So TextUp is primarily about client-staff communication, and then we have the additional features built upon that. Yeah. Thank you.
Great job, Michelle. And next is Action Auctions.
Thanks, Danny. Good evening, everyone. My name is Aaron. I'm a senior. I'm studying ethics. And we're very lucky in this room. We have food in our bellies and vaccines in our veins. And yet we know that there are those who are not so lucky. In fact, since I've started speaking, it's very likely that a child has already died of malaria. To me, that's not just tragic, that is simply morally indefensible. But it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, there's an amazing organization called the Against Malaria Foundation, where for $2.50, they can manufacture and distribute an insecticide-coated mosquito net that can save someone's life. This is a cause I feel really strongly about. And I want to get more people to donate to this amazing cause so that they can save more lives. Then, one night, I was at a party in Barber Hall, and I had this lightning bolt of an idea. I said, everyone, get out your phones and open up Venmo. And people got a little nervous. And I said, you could Venmo me as much or as little as you want right now. And however much we raise, I'll make a donation to the Against Malaria Foundation. And at this point, people are like scratching their heads. They're like, okay, Aaron, why? I say, here's the kicker. Whoever donates the most money will win half of the total amount that we raise. So that means the highest contributor gets half the pot. Half the money goes to the Against Malaria Foundation. Half the money goes to the highest bidder. And that got people going, because let's be real, where before they would have only donated out of pity, now they're also starting to donate out of self-interest. And the donations went up and up and up, and my phone started buzzing, and within 3 minutes, we'd raised $120. I was amazed, and I said to the winner, oh, congratulations, let me Venmo you your $60. And he said, no, Aaron, keep it. I want you to donate my half. I was so encouraged. I did this again and again. I've done this in my philosophy classes. I've done this at open mic nights. I've done this literally on the streets of New York City. And every time I do this, it gets the air electrified. It's really engaging, and I promise, it's really fun. And as of yesterday, I'm very proud to report, this was our first night, but as of yesterday, we've raised over $20,000 for the Against Malaria Foundation. That's 8,000 nets. But that was just me, like one random guy, just like running around and doing this with random people. But now, everyone in this room could do this. Introducing actionauctions.org. Action Auctions is a mobile web app that enables anyone to fundraise more effectively for a charity that you support using this novel approach. This game theoretic mechanic, this 50-50 plus a silent auction, has never been done before, and it's so original we have a provisional patent application pending. So how does it work? Anyone in this room could go to actionauctions.org/host, and you would choose a charity that you want to support, and you would give your auction a unique auction code. And then you can share that code with whoever you want. Anyone who has your code can play in your auction. But of course, the good thing is it doesn't just have to be people in this room. An auction could be hosted by anyone, anytime, anywhere. So imagine you're at a concert, or a movie screening, or a play, or a sports stadium. Imagine you're in Fenway Park, and the announcer gets on the microphone and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, go to actionauctions.org, type in Fenway Park." You could have 30,000 people playing this all at once. And of course, it doesn't just have to be live events. It could also be online. You could post your code on Facebook or on Twitter or in a YouTube video or in a Medium article or in a podcast or like anywhere. And honestly, that's what keeps me up at night, is that now that this is a tool, now that it exists in the world, I'm so excited to see the creative applications that people bring to bear in the way that they share it, in ways that I can't even fathom. And of course, we are going to be going directly to the nonprofits themselves, and we're going to say, hey, we've created this tool for you. Please use us so that you can fundraise more effectively and keep on making the world a better place. So that's the service that we offer. Let me tell you a little about us. These are my amazing teammates. They're great. I love them. They're magnificent people. And honestly, when we work together, it doesn't even feel like work. We have two notable advisors. On your left, we have Professor Pedro Delbo. He's a game theory professor here in the econ department. And on your right, we have Professor Oriel Feldman-Hall. She's a behavioral psychologist here in the CLIPS department, and she's actually going to be conducting a psych experiment on us in order to explore and evaluate what are the factors that would modulate people's behavior, that get them more engaged. And that's great, A, because it gives us the data that we need, but B, it means we have peer-reviewed academic research about us, which is good for our reputation. And speaking of reputation, I'd like to talk about the business model. We are going to be structuring as a nonprofit, but we want to be operationally sustainable. And so to that end, we are taking 1% of the winner's winnings, just to cover things like server costs and web hosting and things like that. And that's also why BVP would be so valuable to us. Given that we are a nonprofit, we're somewhat locked out of traditional sources of funding. And so any money we raise tonight could be used to get this tool in the hands of more people. You know, when we think of philanthropists, we usually think of Bill and Melinda Gates. And they're amazing people, but anyone in this room could be a philanthropist. In fact, philanthropy literally means the love of humankind. And I can sense that there's a lot of love in this room right now. But let us not be content with love alone. Let us turn that love into action. Thank you so much. Hi.
I really love it.
Thank you.
There's just something about it where you can see a world where it pops because it has this aligned incentive component. I guess I'm curious how you think about that winner component and sort of the when you think of marketing this or positioning this. Is it around the winning, or is it around the social
the altruism?
Good? How do you reconcile?
That's a really great question. And in fact, in my experience, and I've hosted over 100 auctions, it's been about a 50-50 split. As some people who are doing this just because they want to be altruistic, and other people who are doing this to be self-interested, and that's okay. Like I think that's great, honestly. Yeah. But I would love to run the numbers and actually really get some really hard evidence to follow-up surveys. That's something that if we grow big enough, we can ask follow-up surveys and gather the data that we need.
Okay. Can you just illustrate what you guys would be really happy with as your end of year one and perfect 50th percentile use case of this is what charity and what sort of hook and what type of social context does it use? Help us visualize a little bit, because it's obviously so clean it can apply to anything, but it would help.
It can. I mean, really, that's what I said. The possibilities are beyond comprehension at the moment. But I mean, it could be, we are actually, let me give you an example. Our first client is actually a cancer rehabilitation charity for children who survive cancer. It's called CC Champions, and it was actually founded by a Brown alum. That's how we got connected. And he said, I would love to use this. And they're having a March Madness event this March 26th. And so they're going to be using us. And so they're going to be making an announcement and saying, hey, everyone, go to actionauctions.org, type in CC Champions, and then you'll have, I think there are about 7,000 people in that stadium. So that's pretty cool. That's one use case. But yeah, I'm excited to see where else it goes.
Is it legal?
Great question. I was hoping someone would ask that. Yes, the answer is yes. A lot of charities already host 50-50s. It's not uncommon, or like bingo, raffles, and yeah, it's allowed as long as we do structure as a nonprofit. Like if we did this as an LLC, that would not be very kosher. Yeah.
I think Scott wants to sneak in a quick comment.
Yes, super quick, just yes or no question. So do you programmatically allow the winner to either keep or donate their winnings as your first person did?
Yes. So in the email confirmation, they say, would you like to donate your winnings or would you like to keep them?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you, guys.
Thank you, Denny.
Thank you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, judges. And let's give another hearty round of applause for all 8 teams who did such a good job. Let me explain to everybody what we're going to do now. We're going to invite the judges to come out this way and to deliberate for a few minutes. So I'll ask you to follow Liz right out that door. I'm going to ask all the teams to come back out here and to sit in the audience. And I'm going to ask your indulgence to talk amongst yourselves, maybe track the March Madness scores, or do whatever you'd like to do for a few minutes. Meet one another. That's a good networking use of your time. And we'll be back with you very soon with the results.
All right. Well, thank you for your patience. I think just wanted to start by saying the obvious thank you to Nelson Center, to Danny, to Liz, to Jonas, to Marissa, and to Abby, and to everybody who applied. 47 people. Like I was just in my head. Something I do is how many hours went into kind of the cumulative amount of work that went into this, and it's definitely thousands. So that's wonderful. I think the second thing that I think I speak for everyone. This was ridiculously humbling. A lot of us got some kind of start, whether it was a literal start financially here or a start in spirit from this competition in years past. And seeing this one, we were just all humbled and blown away. I mean, it almost felt kind of, I speak for myself on this, almost felt fraudulent to judge such incredible, deep people who've gone far on very specific verticals. And so it was a really hard process. And just to congratulate all of you guys. I think the spirit, and I want to speak for Neil on this, behind bringing this back is the idea that sort of entrepreneurship sells itself once you start doing it, and sometimes it's just the last mile, a little push over the edge. And if that's for us, it was a $5,000 check from Brown and a $5,000 check from an investor in Providence, and that was what got us our start to go and start companies. And I'm sure everyone else here has very similar stories. So that was it on behalf of Neil. So thank you. All right, sorry, so you can announce that.
Yeah. So it was very, very hard to make decisions here. We started with a process of voting for the top few, and everyone ended up being represented in that. So I think that's a testament to the fact that all 8 of those presentations were extraordinarily compelling, and I hope all of them turn into successful ventures. We were tasked with limiting it down to 3. So for the 3rd place prize, part of what drove this decision is we were really impressed not only by how compelling the problem was and how thoughtful the solution was, but the fact that the founding team has actually already started solving it and already has paying customers and is already really making these people's lives better, and there's a big path to scalability there. So we want to give a big congrats to TextUp for winning that.
Thank you, Steph. So this next business was one that we thought was led by a very capable founding team that did an excellent job presenting their idea, sharing the air on that idea with the audience, a strong track record, and attacking a problem that was not only very real and very sizable, but also one that was approaching human nutrition and was approaching a global economy. It was a project in a business that had strong and potentially protectable technology, and one that had a real considered short-term and long-term go-to-market strategy. And that business in second place was Cloud Agronomics. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so now we have the top winner, and this was by far, hands down, it was our #1 choice for every single one of us. Our jaws kind of dropped after we heard the pitch. We were so impressed by the storytelling. It was perfectly told. It was so well thought out. Every element and question that we would have, they addressed. And something that we put a lot of weight into a lot of these ventures was that, are they doing this now? Are they solving a problem that's worth solving, and are they actually putting it into action already? And so the winner is Penta.
I want to make a couple of real final comments. First of all, a real incredible round of applause for all 8 teams. I always say I feel like a doting parent at these kinds of events because I'm so proud of all the students represented here. I know how much hard work you all put into these presentations, and that reflected all of the work you had put into your ventures thus far. And we hope that all 8 of you, all 8 teams, will progress far off into the future, just like we have represented here the judges who were inspired by the work they did at Brown when they were students here. So on behalf of all of us, congratulations to all of you. I also want to thank the judges. This is a really challenging task to read through 47 team applications, pare it down to 8, and then to read those 8 over again, and then to hear your pitches, deliberate, and think in 10 minutes who should be first, second, and third. So thank you to all of you. We know you have very busy lives, and we appreciate your carving out some of your time to be with us leading up to tonight, and then especially tonight. And then I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge a few other people. First of all, Linda Murphy from the Provost's office. We're really happy to have you here as you're here at all of our events. We appreciate the support of the Provost's office, and thank you very much, Linda. And then my incredible Nelson Center team, who spent sleepless nights and early mornings. There's a photo that we posted the other day of Jonas braving the snow, the torrential winds, and other elements to get to campus in the middle of that storm to meet with some of these teams. So thank you, Jonas. Thank you, Liz. And especially thank you to our newest member of the team, Abby Rubin, who did an amazing job with 101 details, as you could imagine, to pull off an event like this. So a big round of applause to our Nelson Center team. And then finally, thank again to all of you. We really appreciate all of your support in coming tonight and into coming to so many of our events. I know people have said we're like exploding with events, but it's because we're responding to your demand. So thank you for all of your interest and support of the Nelson Center in the 18 months that we've been since launch. And we've been flashing events by you that we hope will interest you. If you don't know about it yet, go to our website and you can sign up for our periodic email update at entrepreneurship.brown.edu. And now I'll invite everybody to adjourn into the hallway for, let's just say, refreshments. Well earned. Thank you, everybody.